And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is the Quest Army Hangout. I am your host, Joff. Joining me this week as our participants are Stacy.
Hello.
Ron.
Hi.
Lorelei.
Hi.
Joshua M.
Good evening.
Josh K.
How's it going?
Just saying.
Hello.
And our very special guest, Paladin Jim Curry.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you all for joining us. Jim, it's an absolute pleasure to see you. We're going to kick this right off. We'll go into our first round of questions. And because I love doing this every time she's on, Stacy, why don't you ask the first question?
What up, Stacy?
Good to see you again.
You too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
My question. As you've seen, a lot of us are Lord of the Rings fans, and we love to draw a lot of parallels about the production versus Mark's involvement with Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
How many parallels did you find to Harry Potter aside from the Common Room?
That is an excellent question. The Common Room was definitely probably number one when it came to parallels. One parallel that you didn't get to see was our confessional room. We actually had a confessional room, and you might have heard about this already. And I hope that my saying this doesn't take it away from a future season, but I would love to see it in a future season. In our Paladin hallway within the castle, one room, you would go into it, and it looked like a storage room, but there was this giant mirror in the room, and that was our confessional. We would stand in front of the mirror and just talk to it and tell it what we were feeling, like behind the scenes camera stuff. So it was, I spent more time in there than probably any other Paladin. And it very much Harry in front of the mirror very said, yes, that was another great parallel. And then the whole, I mean, reading that the enemy's name was Verlox for the first time, of course my mind went straight to Voldemort, just with the enemies starting with V was is becoming a common theme in my life, apparently. So yes, several Potter parallels that I was very happy to point out to the other Paladins.
Oh, awesome. Thank
Good
you
question.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was a great question. Ron, can you do better than that?
I'll try. Your professor's name doesn't start with a V, does it?
Oh, the one whose exam I have tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for having us. My question was, since you had already mentioned it earlier, was your trip to Universal just kind of like the response from the general public? Other than being a dragon trainer, was it a great opportunity to talk about the show? Were there many fans there?
It really was. For those who don't know, I got to visit Universal Studios and go to the Harry Potter theme park expansion to Diagon Alley, and I chose to wear my Paladin uniform throughout the 80-degree Florida weather that was Universal Studios that day. So I got to feel a little bit like I was back in Everealm in the Austrian heat.
So a nice fall day.
Right.
That's cool for us.
Yes, I did get to talk about the show, and at the time, that was leading up to the Quest Project Hero. So not only did I get to explain what the show was to those who didn't know what I was representing, but also get to plug the Project Hero month that we were in to encourage them to participate as well. But yes, I did run into a couple fans, and at Morphin Scout on Twitter actually met up with me and my fraternity brother who went with me, and he was an expert of the park, and he showed us all around, and our trip would not have been the same without him. But yeah, actually a cast member of Universal had seen the show, and he came up to me and he goes, "Excuse me, are you Jim?" And I was freaking out because it was recognition. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to represent the show that I love in the Harry Potter world that I love.
Nice.
Yes.
Maybe you'll get cast as was it Newt Scamander? I can't think of his name off the top
You know
of my head.
what? J.K. Rowling finished the script officially, and I'm waiting for casting news.
Great, thanks.
Awesome. Lorelai, do you have a question?
Yes, actually I do, and it's kind of about Harry Potter.
All right, excellent.
I was wondering, what is actually your favorite Harry Potter book? I don't know if anybody's ever asked before.
No one has asked me that from the Quest Army, so thank you for asking. I have probably read the 6th book, Half-Blood Prince, more than any other. So you could call that one my favorite just on that statistic alone. I have not read it as much, but I love the 4th book just because you get to see the magic community outside of Hogwarts. You get to see other countries represented with their magic within the Quidditch World Cup campground, and to see the other schools come to Hogwarts and represent their cultures and magic within Goblet of Fire was really fun to read and then see adapted to film. Of course, the schools weren't strictly female and male in the book, but they did a great job, and I appreciate the 4th one just as much. So, as much as it pains me to choose a book of the series, I've read the 6th one the most, but I really appreciate the 4th as well.
Also, what would you do if you had the Marauders map?
If I had the Marauders map, I would envy everybody in the school because I'm stuck in the Muggle world and I'm seeing all their interactions within the castle. So I would look desperately for a secret passageway leading from the Muggle world to the castle, I suppose. Whatever gets me in. Spy on my friends too, I guess.
Awesome. Great question, Lorelai. Thank you. Joshua M. Do you have a question?
Hi, Josh.
Hey, Jim. So I'm not a Death Eater this time.
No, you're not. You're Dumbledore this time.
So surprise, surprise, my question is Harry Potter related as well.
Perfect. There's a theme here tonight.
So how should I word this one? Your what Hogwarts classes do you think your fellow Paladins would excel in?
Oh man.
Oh wow.
Wow. Okay. Well, I see myself as a charms guy, so that would that's one of 12. There you go. Jim would pick charms.
All right.
I'll just pick a couple. Let's see. Where would I put Shondo? Let's put him with Care of Magical Creatures. Because did you see how he interacted with the Banshee? Hear my offering, and like he did perfectly. Like he was
natural.
Great with magical creatures. So, and like he wasn't afraid of the ogre. He wanted to go save Sebastian when the ogre dragged him off. So, yeah, definitely Care of Magical Creatures for Shondo. I see Katie as a really good flyer, a flying student. Like she can probably fly very well. I could see her as a Madam Hooch sort of person.
Cool.
Let's see. Christian could handle defense against the dark arts. I could see that. Man. I'll pick one more, just for the sake of time, and I'll get back to you for the rest later.
All right.
Let's see. Here, you pick one, and I'll tell you where I think they should.
Leticia.
Leticia. Ooh. Man. Let's put her with Transfiguration. I see her strong like McGonagall. So yeah, she would do well transfiguring things.
Cool.
Good question. Man, that was a challenge.
That was a tough one.
I'll write a blog post later with a full list after giving it more thought.
Okay, that would be cool. Thanks, Jim.
No problem. Thank you.
We can always count on Josh Bog to ask the difficult ones. It's why even when he isn't in the Hangout, we like to ask his questions.
You gave John a hard time last week. I was watching that one.
That was a good one. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Jim. Just saying, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. It's related to Harry Potter too. Can you explain to us how you play the real life Quidditch? Like, do you have a snitch? Is it dragonfly you have to catch?
Right. Okay. Excellent question. Muggle Quidditch. Muggle Quidditch is a real sport. It's found at hundreds of universities in the United States and Canada. We have European teams. We have a team in China. There's at least one in Africa that I remember reading about. It's really growing, and it's really becoming more and more popular. Of course, we can't fly. That's the one.
Well.
But the biggest thing is we have broomsticks, and they have to stay between your legs at all times.
Okay.
So it's a full contact sport with a broomstick between your leg. So you have to. There's a lot of concern for safety in this game for that reason alone. But you have all the positions. You have 3 chasers whose job is to take the quaffle, which is the scoring ball, and score it through one of the 3 hoops, and it's 10 points if you score it. There are 2 beaters whose job is to take one of 3 bludgers. There are 3 bludgers on the pitch, and those are dodgeballs, and they have to. Their job is to hit any part of your being or broomstick, and if they do so, you've been bludgeoned, and you have to drop whatever ball you're carrying, dismount your broom, run back to your hoops, touch your hoops, and then you're back in play.
Okay.
I used to be a beater. I played as a beater for 2 years in college. Then I switched to keeper, which I excelled a lot more at. The keeper defends the hoops, so we can act as a chaser as well. We can take the quaffle and go score it, which I loved to do. Absolutely loved to do. The first time I did that, I did not let it live down. Did not let anybody forget that I scored. But then your primary goal is to defend your hoops against oncoming chasers. And so being the 6'4" paladin that I am, it helped me reach the tall hoops and defend them. And then you have the seeker, whose job is to catch the golden snitch. And you asked about our snitch. Unfortunately, it's not a dragonfly. That would be pretty awesome. But you have a third-party person who is not representative of either team playing, who it's customary to put some article of yellow clothing on them, and then their shorts. There are league official snitch shorts, and there is a ball within a sock that is velcroed to the back of their shorts, and that is the snitch ball. You have a snitch runner who carries the snitch ball, and the seeker's job is to capture the snitch ball. And then the snitch runner's job is to prevent the seeker from doing so by pretty much any means necessary.
That sounds exhausting.
Very, very unique snitches in my day. And yes, it is exhausting. So yeah, that's Muggle Quidditch in a nutshell. There are YouTube videos galore out there, and I encourage you to look it up because it's a lot of fun to play. And unfortunately, I'm not playing this semester, but I still try to keep tabs on my team, and hopefully they'll be returning to the Quidditch World Cup in the spring.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in Boston, and there are so many teams based out of Harvard and BC, BU.
It started up in the Northeast. So
yeah, you can catch them most weekends. It's pretty fun.
It's awesome.
They get a lot of spectators.
Good. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Actually, Josh, do you have a question while we're on you?
Yeah, sure. Nice chatting with you, Jim. First of all, thanks for coming.
No problem.
You were one of the Paladins I was most lamented to see go early on, unfortunately. I know, right? I don't think it was your fault. So I have a question that might be really quick, so I have a second one just in case.
Okay.
And this may have been asked before, but were there any romantic relationships between any of the Paladins? Or that just not happen?
Well, I didn't see any.
That's the answer.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Let's yeah. I didn't see any. That's my answer. So.
Okay. All right.
Of course, I was in love with the Queen. So there you go. If that's an answer for you. I remember Creo on our way to Sænctum for the first time tells me, you know, I said something complaining how I had to bend low because the ceilings were low, and he goes, oh, you're so tall. You know, the Queen is tall, and she's very beautiful, and she's widowed. And I was like, hey, okay.
Sign me up.
Nice.
So that's when that quest started right away.
Well, I guess my other question would have been instead, which challenge did you most wish that you had been able to compete in had you been in the game longer?
Right. I actually know this one. I was hearing about this one and then seeing it on screen. I was captivated just by hearing about it before we even finished filming. That was the Falcon Challenge in episode 6.
Yeah.
Just hearing about those masks was so cool to hear about. And then, okay, I loved the fact that it was a running challenge. I think I would. I ran cross country in high school. I played Quidditch at the time. So in my mind, I thought I could do well running around the castle to look for the fire orbs. Elise, the producer, on the other hand, said, Jim, you know it was 100 degrees there. I don't think that anybody would enjoy running. And I was like, yeah, some people don't hear the word run and think it's the devil's word. So, I think the Falcon Challenge was just incredibly creative, and I would, if I could just put myself in one challenge, I would put myself there. So
nice.
Yeah.
I think flavor-wise, that challenge was probably my favorite. You know, just everything involved. It was a good one.
Right.
Cool. Thank you.
So. Thank you.
Okay, before I ask, I'd like to ask a question, but before I do, I actually have one from Twitter from Judith. We all know Judith. She would like to know, it's a multi-part question, what did you like best in Vienna? Did you visit the National Library? And we heard from Suzanne Geschwindner a story where she spied yourself, Jim, and some of the Paladins going to the cinema. Did you know about that?
Right. Okay. To answer Judith's question, after banishment, we were sequestered elsewhere. So yes, it did result in some day trips around Vienna. My favorite, I have two favorites. The first being the Prater amusement park. We went there several times actually, and it was just so fun to get away from being told where to go, when to do what, all that sort of thing, and then just to have the freedom to go to an amusement park and have fun for a while. This realm fun. I remember Christian and Jasmine and I, we went through this fun house, and it took us at least an hour probably. And then Jasmine and I, we did this. At Prater, they have a very tall, one of those swings. It puts you in a swing and it rises and it just spins you above everything, and the view from the top of that was incredible. You could see our hotel. Couldn't see the castle from there, but we could see for quite a while, and Jasmine and I rode that together, so that was a memory we kept. Suzanne's story. Yes, we went to a movie one night. Oh, I'm sorry, my second favorite place. We went to a concert hall. We went to the concert hall in Vienna, and we saw a Mozart concert. After a very nice dinner, I was the only male paladin, so it was me and the ladies, and we went to a very nice dinner, and I was surrounded by beautiful women, and we went to a Mozart concert afterwards, and it was a very tasteful evening. So yes, Suzanne's story. We went to see a movie at a cinema in Vienna, and apparently, in the lobby, Suzanne was there and spied Jasmine, and myself and Katie and Ashley were also present. And no, we did not see her. We didn't even think to look for her because we assumed that she was still in Everealm and maybe recovering from poisoning or something. So on the final day of filming, after the final battle, the entire cast was together with the crew, and Suzanne brought that up, and we were just floored that it happened right under our noses. And no, I had no idea.
That's awesome.
But I love the fact that they were constantly watching us. Like,
well, the way Suzanne described it, you know, she literally hid, and she snuck away.
She had the habit of doing that. We banished might have had our eyes on her one day without her knowing. Well, she did know eventually. They bussed us to the castle grounds to do sword training in preparation for the final battle. And one day that meant that we had to drive in the crew's camp, the container camp that they had set up away from the castle. Little did we know, sitting under a tree on break were Suzanne and Jan. And so we're within a van, and they're so used to seeing vans drive by this container camp that they didn't think anything of it. But then we start waving to them from the windows of the van, and Suzanne and Jan start waving back, and then Suzanne realizes who it was, and she just goes, "Oh, no!" Jan continues just to wave. It was good to pull a little prank on them.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. One question that I'd really like to ask Jim,
Sure.
and it's not Harry Potter related.
Okay, Josh, I guess.
I thought I would mix it up and talk about the quest. Did anything happen on camera that maybe you regretted didn't make it into the show? It wasn't something recorded that wasn't shown.
Absolutely. That's a really good question. Yeah, of course, being there, you see almost everything that happens, and of course, for a show like this, it can't all fit into the episodes. So there were some interactions that had happened that I was looking forward to seeing in the finished product, but for the sake of time, for the sake of story, it didn't quite happen. Let's see. I have a couple. One of which was in the woods on the first night. In last week's Hangout, Jan mentioned how I gave him the most grief when it came to testing his improvisation skills. That started in the woods the very first night. We had just survived the ogre attack. We'd coated ourselves in mud. If you haven't watched the bonus 7 minutes from the first episode, I encourage you to look that up because it's well worth the watch. We were on our way from the mud pit to the field where you see the castle for the first time. And Creo, Jan, just kept going on and on about Sænctum is this way, Sænctum, Sænctum, Sænctum. What the heck is Sænctum? We had no clue, so no one else was asking, so I say, Creo, what is Sænctum? And so he stops us. He stops us right in the middle of the woods. We're so sleep deprived. We are so unaware of what's happening. He stops us, so we're immediately on the defensive. Like, what's about to happen? And he just, Sænctum is the kingdom that I'm from, and it's where the queen is, and it's safe, and you'll go there, and everything will be happy and fine. And right. No, it was good to get a little bit of knowledge prior to seeing the castle for the first time, and I love watching that scene more than any other. And yeah, that was one thing that happened that I regret didn't make it into the final thing. Another one, and this will be my last one. In the third episode, this is at the dinner table when Queen Ralia is poisoned. Right after she was poisoned, she was carried off, and we were told to stay at the table. And they wanted us to have a discussion, like what's on your mind? What do you think about this? What's going on? And of course, we had no clue. We had no idea how this happened or why. But prior to this moment, my fellow Paladins, anytime we had a meal together, I was always the one who blessed it, who prayed over it. And so when we were at the dinner table after this had happened, they called on me to pray, just to stop everything and to pray for this situation. And my faith is very important to me. At the same time, I was wondering, okay, I don't want to offend anyone else's religion who might be watching this later, so I had to, on the spot, I was not expecting to pray at this dinner table, especially after such a traumatic poisoning. I created a very religion-neutral Everealm prayer. So I was, we pray to the fates that they put their healing grace on the queen, and I pray that unite the Paladins, because without the queen, the people look to the Paladins, and just this very word vomit, just whatever. we were all holding hands around the table, very somber, and it was just like, Jim, you gotta pray. Let's do it. Okay. So yeah, that didn't quite make it. I thought it was good. I thought it was good enough. It's somewhere in the storage of footage that we have yet to see. Hopefully one day, but not today.
That is awesome.
And then of course all the mirror moments. We every time we sat in front of the mirror and talked, I assumed that would be tied in somewhere else, but maybe not.
I really want to start the second round of questions. We're already almost half an hour in, and this is incredible. But I kind of have a follow-up, and that's, I'll have to find. I'll make sure that the video, the missing 7 minutes of the first night, gets shared. I want everyone to see the 7 minutes, and it was really hard to find. When I heard about it, I had to really go trawling through Quest's official group to find it.
ABC had posted it sometime after the first episode aired, but between 1 and 2. But yeah, it was not easy to find.
No, I lament that the pilot, the first episode, it wasn't 2 hours long. It would have been a phenomenal 2 hours.
Yeah.
The fact it just stuck out. Even as I watched it without knowing better, it really stuck out that it was so condensed. That all this footage of the Paladins getting from the portal and meeting the fate to Sænctum, it just felt rushed. And it was only later that I realized, what happened and how much we'd lost on the cutting room floor.
Right. And plus, they'd sent cameras to our hometowns to do all the introductions at our home. And
I mean, that would have made a great first episode, having longer introductions and then the build-up to reaching Sænctum. That's a great first episode, and I've always lamented that, and I still hold hope that one day, Mark, Jane, Rob will put their hands on the footage and be able to recut it. But, while I'm dreaming, I'd also like to go to Everealm.
My poor brother, he was he helped me in my introduction thing when the cameras came to our hometown. He to me, and And then we went and filmed some Quidditch scenes with my teammates who traveled all the way from Fayetteville to Little Rock, and they all signed confidentiality agreements. I was like, you guys are going to be in the first episode, and then the first episode airs. I was like, you're not in the first episode. Sorry. Oh well.
Okay, let's go into the second round of questions, and we're just going to keep our eye on the time and see how we do.
Okay.
Stacy, I'm picking on you again.
Of course you are. Okay, we've heard stories about you guys' downtime in between filming, how like Jasmine was doing yoga and such.
Right.
What was your downtime activity, and did you pick up anything from anybody else?
My downtime. Okay. My downtime. There are three things that come to mind. The first was journaling. I wanted to write down everything that I could, and I didn't take the most extensive notes. I wish I had. Adria is the note taker. I would love to see her notes. Mine was just simple things, and then the second thing would be Letitia. Letitia promised to teach me how to salsa dance, and I tried so hard. I tried so hard to get that on camera. And Letitia, there was one prime opportunity where this almost happened. This was right before my banishment, and Letitia was having a wardrobe malfunction, and she couldn't tell me that on camera. She could not tell me that she was having this problem in front of the camera. So she was like, I can't teach you right now. We're not going to do that right now. Come to find out later the true reason. So we laughed about that. Eventually, before we left, she did teach me that it is an 8-step, and we tried a very basic lesson. What else? Shondo was always working out. I tried to do something along that with him, and told him you need to teach me how to fight, but we didn't get to that, unfortunately. And then the last thing I'll say is I was always thinking that we were heading into a mental challenge where it would be nothing but the knowledge that you recalled. Like they would teach you the history, and then you would be writing down the answers or something. And I was like, I will do so well at this. so I was trying to absorb as much knowledge prior to any challenge that I could. So you would find me in the common room, sitting at the common room table, looking at the common room table is my favorite prop from this show, and it had all 12 kingdoms' names written around the edge, and then the crest of Sænctum in the middle with the power begot. Forgive me, I forget. So I started the trend of, it's going to be a mental challenge. It has to be a mental challenge. This was prior to the door challenge. So it was the challenge of wisdom, not how I expected it. So I was writing down the 12 kingdom names, and I was trying to memorize them and recall them from memory, and someone saw me doing that, and so 5 minutes in, everybody was memorizing them. Everyone was trying to recall them, and one of our handlers texted the producer saying they're memorizing the kingdoms, and the producers just laughed because they are all knowing and knew that it was pointless to do so.
Let them waste their time.
Right. It kept me sane. And
awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Stacy. Thank you, Jim. Ron, do you have a second question?
I do, even though you almost took it as well as everyone else. So while on set, aside from anything that was funny, was there maybe like any embarrassing moments that didn't make it on air? So nothing like you regret, but just anything embarrassing that might have happened on air or off air that we didn't see.
The first thing that comes to mind is when we were first in our rooms and they gave us our nightgowns. There are cameramen in our rooms filming us, and they were like, "Okay, you need to change," and I was like, "This is just a nightgown. We're like stripping in front of the cameras and putting on the nightgowns." And then, lo and behold, in the second episode, I'm the first Paladin to speak within the episode, and the first thing you see is me putting on pants, talking about the Queen. And I was like, okay, it could have been worse. You probably saw a lot more than you needed to, but there you go.
Gotcha. Sorry, most of my questions have been taken, so I apologize.
No, it's no problem. One other thing, I definitely, in the Scorpion Challenge, I was the runner who had to go get the arrows and come back, go get the arrows, come back. I fell. I tripped on a tree root, and I busted it at least twice in that challenge. Didn't see it. Didn't happen, so.
Sorry about that.
Okay. I learned to love my embarrassing moments.
Lorelei, do you have a second question?
Yes, I do, and this one isn't Harry Potter related.
Okay.
I was actually wondering, because I know you did a lot of the myths and the lore, and you did that whole website thing about it. So what got you into doing the myths and the lore and got you interested in that whole thing?
Right. I think that stems originally from my just wanting to know everything and anything about Everealm's history, and that was really something that we didn't get to know while we were competing, while we were living in Sænctum. We got bits and pieces of it. We learned the 12 kingdom names, but didn't know anything about it. So once the whole joke, the hashtag Gym for Librarian started, once that was established and you all learned that I am pursuing library science as a career, the producers, when I was in San Diego for Comic-Con, we had dinner with Jane and Mark, and Jane mentioned that there was a mythology document, like the grand mythology of Everealm was recorded, and the producers had access to it. So she was looking in her phone for it, and I was like in shock and awe, sitting right next to her, thinking that I was about to read the history, and she couldn't find it at the time. So I was a little heartbroken. So I made sure to email her once I got home, and we set up the idea that, you know, I could present this to you all with the world creators, Eduardo Sanchez, and so that's when they showed me the document, and I started giving you guys bits and pieces of it. So I know that those guys are so talented, they could keep adding on to it, and I hope that they will, and I will hope that they share that with me so I can have permission to share it with you guys.
So which one was your favorite? What was your most favorite myth or lore?
Oh, my favorite myth or lore. I loved hearing about Verlox being a brother to the Fates and how he separated himself from them in the Rending. That was not really something I picked up on at the time of filming. I loved reading the backgrounds on the 12 kingdoms. I hope to live in a world where I get to see Kingdom Aura on a television screen one day, because that is my piece of the Sun Spear, that is my kingdom. Hopefully that is where the Grand Library of Everealm resides, because fingers crossed, that would be really cool to visit. So those are my favorites.
Awesome. Good question, Lorelei. Thanks, Jim. Josh Marg, do you have another question?
I have a whole bunch, actually, but I'll stick to a simple one.
Keep it down to one.
Yeah, I'll try. Okay, actually this one's a follow-up to the other Josh's question about you having a challenge that you would have wanted to try that you didn't get a chance to. So I'd like to know, is there a challenge that you think you would have done terribly at?
Oh. Okay. This is where I have to doubt my abilities. You know, I think I could... for some reason, the first thing that came to mind was the Battle Dome. But I think I could have done well in the Battle Dome. I think I could channel my Quidditch skills and be aggressive in there. So what's one that I think I would do poorly at? Or
not poorly, but do you think would have been your greatest challenge.
My greatest challenge. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the cages. The cages. I think
right.
any paladin would hate to be in one of those, and I know that the 4 that were hate it. So I saw Christian and I are similar builds and body types. He's so seeing him carry the cage gave me a little bit of hope that maybe I could do it, but I definitely think that would be a challenge in itself. So I'm cageless, and I like it that way.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Just saying, do you have a second question?
I do. Once you knew you were picked for the show, what did you expect it would be? Like, I'm sure you had ideas of, or you dreamt of what it would be. Probably it was not exactly as you thought.
No, it was far better than anything I could have imagined. Let's see, my initial thoughts and ideas. Really, being season 1, I had no clue what I was getting into. I figured that it would be a fantasy world, and there might be creatures, and we might the 12 paladins. I wondered before I knew that I was a paladin. I wondered if we were chosen because of our fantasy genre. I wondered if my being a Harry Potter fan and my playing Quidditch, if those things would be incorporated into the show, and I would be some wizard or be some sorcerer, and then Shondo would be a fighter, and whoever would. Yeah, I wondered if our background skills would transition in. So that was one idea I had. And of course, I hoped for a castle, and that dream came true, and it was beautiful and better than anything I could think of. So I stand by the fact that anything I tried to think of was blown out of the water and far superior in reality.
That's good.
Yes.
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Josh K., do you have a second question?
Yeah, I do, sure. And to follow up on that, it's interesting. A lot of people that I talked to about the show, they said, well, what does the winner receive? Like, how much money? And I was just thinking the idea of just being able to do what you guys did would be worth way more than you could pay me. So we do envy you that. But for my question, to kind of tie in what the EPs have worked on, and we didn't get to ask Patrick this last time.
Okay.
But I had kind of a two-parter. So first of all, if you were to be on the Amazing Race, which paladin would you pair yourself up with?
Right.
And then also, what other pairs do you think would make the most entertaining, dysfunctional, and/or epic to watch?
Wow. Okay. Well, this came up on Twitter some time ago. Someone had the idea that Shondo and I should compete, and I would love that. I think I would hope that, with the Amazing Race, they always say that if you do it with a friend, you may not be friends afterwards. If you do it with a family member or a loved one, you're stuck with them afterwards, and you got to deal with it. So hopefully Shondo and I wouldn't kill each other, because you saw on the quest how opposite we were. But I think that we definitely brought out each other's strengths, and that we are opposite enough that we could do something well together there. So if the Amazing Race, which is casting now, needs a dynamic duo from one of their others, I know some paladins. Who else would I put together? Let's see. You want me to put a duo that I think would be dysfunctional?
I think who would be the most dysfunctional, and maybe who would be the funniest to watch, or the most fun to watch.
Okay. I don't want to offend anyone by saying things. Okay. Opposite personalities. Let's put. Bonnie and Shondo would be fun to watch. That would be. That would never be fun. Let's see. maybe Andrew and who would you pair Andrew with on The Amazing Race? Patrick and Andrew?
Yeah.
That'd
be solid.
I think there would be some growth. There would be some growth for them in that. That's a good one.
I mean, Patrick is a father. He has 2 kids.
Yeah.
I think Andrew would be the third.
I love seeing Patrick and Bonnie together, so I would say Patrick and Bonnie just for that duo staying together.
That would be fun to watch.
Adria and Jasmine would be a force to be reckoned with, just because there is some brain power there. So yeah, that's a couple combinations I would put together. Katie and Ashley. Katie and Ashley is my last one because I got to hang out with them more than anybody else, and they are strong together.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Great question, Josh. I love that question. Okay. Let me think. How are we doing for time? We're doing okay. I'm going to ask one more question from social media. We actually have several, and I'm going to regret who I pick because there's so many good questions right now.
You know what? I can take time afterwards to write my answers to those if you would like.
Perfect. That's a great idea. I think the Quest Army would love that. In which case, I'm going to pick one anyway. I'm just going to pick a quick one from Lauren, Lauren on Twitter.
Yes, who is doing the Quest gift exchange plug.
That's right, yes. She's been poking me in the ribs to push it, and I'll remind you at the end of the show. But her question, what have you learned, brought back from the Quest and your time in Everealm to your everyday life? What came back with you from Everealm?
That's a very good question. Hello. There's dragons.
Wrong.
That's okay. That is okay. I didn't bring back dragons. I didn't bring back their tears. I brought back confidence. I'm a much more confident person in my abilities. Of course, I'm still somewhat self-critical and self-analyzing, but I know how to combat that. I know how to combat that with confidence and knowing that God's grace is enough for me, and it's definitely been a growing experience, and I take confidence and a lot of good friendships and relationships from it. I have not talked to a paladin in a while, and I need to fix that, and it's let me see the world, and it's let me see the people that live in it. So, and in other worlds. So, all those things came back with me.
Awesome. That is a beautiful answer. Why don't we're going to turn it over to you, Jim. It's your turn to ask us a question, and we'll do our best to answer it. So,
great.
It's your show.
Yes. Well, I have a couple, and I guess if you would like to answer it, just raise your hand and Joff will call on you. That's usually how this goes. So sorry, Joff, I took your instructional period away from you.
You don't need me.
Side note, very quickly.
Hey.
I posted on Instagram using hashtag #TheQuestHangout, and I decided to look in this hashtag and see what other pictures were posted there. And there are 2 pictures from Joff's Instagram account showing him this is from the very early Quest Hangouts where he is stressed out beyond belief at how things are going to go. So Joff, you look much more confident these days.
They predate the Quest Hangout, but they were for Hangouts. I've done previous Hangouts, and I have to go back through my Instagram apparently.
Can I just say that, Joff, you were threatening to make Jim turn red, and tables have been.
There you go.
Excellent. Okay.
Question, real quick. Sorry to sidetrack. Let's see. Well, okay, we've been doing a rewatch, and I want to hear from you guys if there's anything that you've learned or picked up on the second time around, or noticed in the series that you didn't notice the first time that you've caught or had a revelation of the second time around.
Or fifth time around.
Or fifth time around. Yes, that's also appropriate.
Ron, go ahead.
I noticed when it comes to the banishment with the Paladin, it's typically Solus is the only fate that addresses the Paladin in regards to placing their piece of the Sun Sphere on the altar. That's something I didn't pick up the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, the lore or whatever, we don't know what it is, but I'm assuming she had some part in the creation of the Sun Sphere. So I'm assuming like that's her piece that she's, part of her work. Anyway, one little
good thing. I like that. I like the Sun Spear, Fate of Light connection. Yeah. Good.
Anyone else? Lorelei, go ahead.
It's kind of more like what I noticed on like the commercials and stuff.
Perfect.
I was watching it. I was actually early watching it. I thought it would have happened a week before it happened, but I remember one of the very specific scenes when all the Paladins came back from banishment before that final combat happened, when y'all are in like the Fate Temple and you all just reappear from the dust.
Yes.
That scene was actually in commercials for the quest.
It was.
Before it aired in the show. And I remember seeing that specific commercial going, I want to see this scene. It looks awesome.
I know the scene you're talking about, and it says it's Carew saying, until only the true hero remains, and you see heads coming up from a crouched position, and it shows Andrew to Adria in the Hall of Fates under their windows. And yes, as soon as the Paladin saw that, we were freaking out because the show was ruined, did everything. But no,
it was even the order. It was even the order guys. You guys were banished, right?
Yes, it was. We were very surprised and loved the fact that you guys didn't pick up on that until after the fact. So the producers knew what they were doing there. Very good. I like that.
Else?
I have an easier question if we should move on to that one. I'm going to ask the easier one. Okay. I consider, since this is, as Joff said, the last of the year, I consider this to be a somewhat holiday quest hangout. So I'm wondering, I want to hear your ideas as to if you could give a holiday in Everealm, what would that holiday be?
Ooh.
Oh, have to be on the
I'm seeing the gears turn in the Vizier army right now. Like
no Vizier for the holiday. No Vizier.
No, I would immediately jump to like the solstice, have a feast of the sun, have the longest day. Everybody's up with the sun and all throughout the day. You could even have where they would I forget the name of it. They twirl the ribbons around the poles.
Maple.
Yeah, yes. That could be the sun spear, that they're. And if it was like cloudy that day, it'd be an ill omen for the year to come.
Like that.
So instead of a groundhog, it's if Verloc sees his shadow.
If the sun spear casts no shadow.
1,000 more years of darkness.
Anyone else? I'm going to put you in a position. Josh Mob, come on.
I'm completely caught off guard here. I don't.
That's why I did.
I think I might have one.
Okay.
Something to celebrate. Oh, sorry. Maybe something to celebrate the original 12 Paladin. That so someday in their honor, whenever that day is assigned or has been assigned.
I like that. We could tie in Ralia the Battle Sorceress, the very first Paladin, but for all 12. I like that a lot.
I would think that after 1,000 years, you could even name the months of the year after each of the original Paladins.
Oh yeah.
The 5th day of Ralia.
I like it.
Anyone else?
Tying in with our Solstice Day, having 3 unique holidays throughout the year, one for each of the fates.
Ooh.
Obviously, Solstice Day would be Solus. We would have I'm guessing a harvest festival, possibly for Karu, and a festival of the beasts or of the land. Well, land would be the harvest festival, but a festival of beasts, like a St. Francis Day, like we have here, possibly for Talma.
I like that a lot.
And since they were since Verlox was a brother too, he would have his own secret holiday.
Well, yeah, we'd make him like the winter
dark
holidays,
holidays,
the dark day. We could make him the winter solstice, or what the Druids used to have, the nameless day, that darkest day of the year.
I think I would just like to see Castle Sænctum decked for the Yule celebration. I'd like to see some kind of, I'd like to see. I'd like to see decorations and trees and presents and food and drink, and I want to see snow. I want to see a snowy Sænctum. I just think that would be incredible. And then I want to go there and
see all you guys there.
Yeah, we're all going.
This kind of ties in back to Jashit's question earlier, how she asked me what I had envisioned prior to my going. And when the Paladins arrived, I imagined some banquet, some like festival or feast of like the 12 heroes are here sort of thing. And of course we were prison. But the producers had thrown around the idea of a dancing challenge and an eating challenge. So if I throw caution into a festival of that sort because the producers would turn it into something that would inevitably lead to a banishment. Happy holidays, false.
Okay. We're actually got a couple minutes. I'm going to take a couple minutes to firstly, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you that are participating today, and all of you that have participated in the past. Everyone is a member of the Quest Army, whether you are cast, crew, EP, or fan. The Quest Army is very important to me. I know it's very important to all of you participating and watching. I've personally never had this reaction to a TV show before. I'm very proud of this reaction. I'm very proud to be a fan of the Quest, and I've twisted a lot of arms to get people to watch it, and me and Rebecca both have given up time and energy and effort to do the Quest Hangout so that we can continue to share our love of the show. But I just want to thank every single member in the Quest Army. It's still my mission to meet all of you. There's not much to say about that without me getting a little bit more emotional. But thank you, an emphatic thank you. I also do want to plug Lauren's Questmas Secret Santa. If you're not aware of it, she's been pushing it on Facebook. I believe she's dropped it on Twitter a couple times. It's a Google Doc, Google form, which lets you sign up. You're not committing to much. It's a free gift. It's up to you. Maybe $5. Plus the shipping. It's up to you whether you want to ship internationally. We have a lot of European fans of the Quest, and we just think it would be a really nice thing that we can just send each other secret little gifts. It doesn't have to be Quest inspired, but it's an added bonus. Myself, I'll be making something. I don't know what that thing is yet, but one of you lucky people will end up with a handmade gift. And I just hope that a lot of you can sign up as well and tell other people. Jim, I need you to tell the other Paladins. I need you to get on their case, and
I can do that. Sure. For the record, I have registered. I have registered for this exchange, so I'm really looking forward to it. I have an idea, so maybe it'll be coming to one of you one day. But I will try to push the other Paladins to do that because I know the deadline to register is coming up. So.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to take a shred of your Paladin costume. You could just tear off a piece.
That might hurt me more than anything else.
And otherwise, all that's left for me to really do is to wish you all happy holidays. Thank you so much for being part of and watching the Quest Hangouts.
And a big thank you to Joff for putting all of these together. None of us would be here without him. So thank you, Joff and Rebecca.
Okay.
He's turning even better now.
Okay.
Okay.
The tables have been turned.
I wasn't prepared for that. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
It's been an absolute joy to do these. And they were born of just a random idea almost 11 weeks ago when I just announced in the group, you know, it'd be really fun to meet some of you guys. We should really do this. Let's hang out. And then Jane, within 2 minutes, Jane replied and said, yeah, we'll do it. When is it? And Jane and Mark showed up, and 11 weeks later, here we are. I would have loved to have gone 12 episodes, but it would end up with an episode between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it would get a bit messy. We'll make up for it with maybe more episodes next season, but it's been a blast. And now I'm rambling because I'm so embarrassed. Okay. Thank you, everyone. To Jim, Just Saint, Josh K, Josh M, Lorelei, Ron, Stacy. Thank you all so much. This means the world to me that you took part today, and I look forward to seeing you all in social media. And you take care, and to everyone watching, happy holidays. Talk to you soon. Goodbye, everyone.
2015.
Bye.
Bye,
Happy
guys.
holidays.
Bye.
Happy holidays.